You are standing underground, 10 meters beneath a modern city. People step inside. They stop. They talk. They breathe. And slowly, the air begins to change. There is no collapse, no explosion, just one realization. This place cannot survive us. After the door closes, the space feels calm, not silent, just familiar. Footsteps soften as people move forward. Voices lower without being asked. Sound stays close, never traveling far. This doesn't feel like a dangerous place. The walls are solid. The ceiling holds. Nothing leaks. Nothing shifts. Everything looks stable. People slow down, not out of fear, but curiosity. Some look up. Some look down. Some stand still longer than necessary, as if trying to take more with them when they leave. This is how a visit is supposed to feel. There are rules here. Clear ones. No tools. No touching. No crossing marked paths. And everyone follows them. A small group enters. They stay for a set amount of time. Then they leave. Another group follows. Nothing appears to change. At least, nothing that looks like a problem. Because when humans think of risk, they expect signs, noise, failure, damage. They expect something to go wrong. But nothing does. The space does not react. It does not resist. It does not push back. Another visit, another quiet passage through the same chambers. Each person brings the same things inside. Body heat, moisture, breath. These don't feel like actions worth questioning. Breathing doesn't feel like interference. Standing still doesn't feel like impact. And because nothing looks different afterward, there is no reason to stop. For a long time, this continues. And no one realizes that the problem will not come from damage, but from presence. That assumption only works as long as nothing can be measured, because feelings reset, perception fades, but environments don't work that way. They keep records, not in memory, but in numbers. This place has a name, the Hypogeum of Ħal Saflieni, beneath the modern city of Paola, Malta. It is enclosed, carved deep into limestone, layered and sealed. Air does not circulate here, the way it does above ground. There is no constant exchange, no wind to clear what remains behind. So when people enter, the space changes, even if no one notices. Sensors begin to reveal what human senses cannot. Carbon dioxide levels rise with each group inside. Not dramatically, not all at once, but consistently. Temperature shifts slightly. Humidity follows. The changes are small enough to feel insignificant. But small does not mean harmless when it repeats again and again. What matters is not a single visit. It is accumulation. The air inside does not reset when the door closes. It stabilizes at a new baseline. Painted surfaces respond to moisture. Limestone absorbs and releases water differently. Organic material behaves in ways that are difficult to reverse. Nothing breaks. Nothing collapses. But the environment begins to drift, not suddenly, not violently, slowly. This is the kind of change humans are bad at noticing. There is no clear moment where someone can point and say, that's when it started. Because it doesn't happen at the speed of attention. It happens at the speed of environments. Over time, patterns replace assumptions. Air quality is no longer guessed. It is measured. Temperature and humidity are tracked across visits. The data does not show spikes. It shows trends, and trends are harder to ignore. The more people enter, the more carefully the space must be managed. Not because it is weak, but because it is sensitive. At first, the response is restrained. Adjustments, controls, monitoring. The goal is not to stop access, it is to understand impact. But the numbers continue to align. Presence is not neutral. Even when intentions are careful, even when behavior is controlled, the environment responds to physics, not purpose. To air that moves too slowly, to moisture that lingers too long, to warmth that accumulates instead of dissipating. And as the data builds, a difficult realization begins to take shape. This place can be protected. It can be studied. It can even be visited, but not without limits. Because here, the line between exploration and damage is thinner than anyone expected. The data does not point to a disaster. Nothing collapses. No wall cracks in front of anyone's eyes. But the numbers no longer stay still. Sensors placed inside the chambers begin to show the same pattern, again and again. Carbon dioxide does not spike, it accumulates. Humidity does not surge, it lingers. Temperature does not cross limits, but it fails to return to where it was. Each time the door opens, a group enters. Each time the door closes, the space inside does not fully reset. At first, there is confidence. Limits are introduced. 10 people at a time, no more. Time inside is reduced. Movement paths are fixed. Artificial lighting is lowered to the minimum required. But the charts continue to align, and the question begins to change. It is no longer, how do we manage visits safely? It becomes, should visits continue at all? For the first time, access is no longer treated as a given. The door closes, not because something went wrong, not because of an accident, but because if it stayed open, failure would become only a matter of time. The closure does not last days. It lasts years. During that time, there are no visitors inside, only measuring equipment, air control systems, and lights turned on, only when absolutely necessary. The goal is clear, not to repair damage, but to prevent it. When the door opens again, it does not open the way it once did. Roughly 80 people per day. No more. Not as a recommendation. As a rule, photography is restricted. Time spent in the central chamber is measured in minutes. Every breath is now considered part of the equation. This is the turning point. Not where the site was destroyed, but where humans chose to step back. Because the hardest realization was not that something had been broken. It was that nothing needed to break for the line to be crossed. When the door closes now, it stays closed longer. Inside, there are no voices, no footsteps. The chambers sit in near darkness, lit only when instruments are checked or systems are adjusted. Air moves slowly, by design. Moisture is allowed to settle. Temperature is guided back towards stability. Nothing dramatic happens. No repair crews rush in. No damage is undone. Because there is nothing to fix. What changed was not the site, it was the way people approached it. Access became something temporary, measured, limited, not because curiosity disappeared, but because restraint became part of the process. Even now, every visit leaves a trace, but the traces no longer overlap. In ways that compound, presence is reduced before it can accumulate. The space is allowed to recover between moments of contact. This is what preservation looks like when nothing has collapsed. Not restoration, not rescue, just distance, standing back while everything is still intact. There are places that survive, not because they were reinforced, but because they were left alone. Places where the most responsible action was not to go further, but to stop. And in doing so, to accept that some boundaries are not meant to be tested. They are meant to be respected.